Creative Magic Club.
Hi, Sarah Mack here from withsarahmack.com, and the conversation today is really hard for me to talk about, but it's a really important conversation. So I actually planned this podcast episode. I was looking on my Word doc in August and it's now almost December. So usually I write things and then create them right away, but there's been a shit ton of resistance around sharing this one because it's a hard topic. So I've got my cozy scarf on. It's kind of cold in my apartment today, but this is definitely an episode that you want to get cozy for, as we're going to dive into challenges that can come up around money manifestation and the way that it's taught when you experience CPTSD or complex post-traumatic stress disorder. So 1 in 3 women experience sexual trauma, and I know that CPTSD isn't always connected to sexual trauma, but it is in my case. So I just wanted to share these stats with you that I'm familiar with. And 1 in 9 women experience sexual trauma as a child. So even beyond that, like, this is common. A lot of people are experiencing this, and CPTSD or PTSD, it just is an everyday experience for a lot of people. So know that if this is you, you are absolutely not alone. And I think it's really, really important that we talk about it, because there's no shame, right? There's no shame in experiencing mental, physical, or emotional health challenges. And the more we talk about it, the more empowered we are to thrive in spite of the bullshit that we are going through. So I've been healing from some pretty freaking intense symptoms of CPTSD from childhood sexual trauma for many years now. And I want to share some unique insights that I have had that I haven't seen talked about much when it comes to specific frustrations somebody with CPTSD might be dealing with when applying some of the common tips around money manifestation. So this could also apply to you if you have another chronic physical health or mental health condition too. And I really hope that what I share will help you to find a deeper understanding and compassion for yourself and whatever journey you're on, and to know that just because your reality doesn't look like other people's, it absolutely does not mean that your dreams and desires aren't possible for you. Just that your path there will look different, and that's okay. So having mental or physical health challenges does not have to stop you from achieving your dreams. Being a human can feel so hard at times, but we are so strong, resilient, and capable, and often more than we give ourselves credit for. So I think it's really easy, because I've been there, to fall into the mind trap that other people have it easier, and that we all know that victim mentality is just, it's not supportive. It's not going to get you very far. And if we genuinely were victims of abuse, someone was an asshole to you, or many people were assholes to you, it's really important to remind ourselves that we're not responsible for what happened to us, but we are responsible for what we do about it. And all the personal development cliches are true. But real talk for a second, when you have a chronic health condition, shit just is harder a lot of the time. You know, I've experienced having really, really low levels of health, but that does not mean that you are not capable of creating what you want. And I really believe that all humans are walking around with their traumatized inner child inside, trying their best to live the lives that they desire in this topsy-turvy world that we live in. And it really is not the most empowering conversation to compare our experience to others and to try to say which is better or worse. And it's so easy to fall into that trap. So if you notice you're doing it, stop doing it. It literally goes nowhere supportive. So my intention with this conversation is to share some challenges that I have personally come up against and moved through when it comes to money manifestation, and share my way of dealing with it in the hopes that it will inspire you to see a different angle or find a better way to make creating more money and abundance in your life easier for you, and in the ways that you most enjoy and desire to create it, in a way that supports your health and your happiness and your well-being, which is exactly what I have created. So let's talk about money magic and how this idea can be challenging or problematic. So the principle of money manifestation is that we get what we focus on. And I have absolutely seen this to be true again and again, with the important caveat that you get what you focus on and take consistent action towards. And I have absolutely manifested my money goals over and over again by writing them out every day and taking consistent action towards them. So fundamentally, how this process works is this: we focus our mind on what we want. So it starts to pick up clues and ideas from our environment that will move us close to that goal. And it simultaneously starts to process and release the parts of us that are not in alignment with that goal. And we start to get the lessons and the growth. So often that looks like being massively triggered around the fears, blind spots, resistances, or inconsistent perceptions of our own identity and our own capabilities that we have held up until that point. And all of that emotional processing is work. It takes work and time and energy and bandwidth, and it can be downright exhausting. So one of the ways that this has played out for me is that I was called to clean up my deep disorganization in my financial life. I had a big gaping gap in skill sets in this area of adulting. And this triggered a lot of my deeply held emotional patterns of feeling unworthy, feeling helpless, feeling overwhelmed, and feeling disempowered. Cue trauma brain trying to protect me from the pain of feeling these emotions I felt very intensely in the past, which my internal system had been working really hard to protect me from feeling again. So avoidance had been my main coping strategy, just piecing out when things don't feel good. Yet, avoidance of financial organization or, taking edgy actions around money, like asking for more, putting myself out there, selling more often, that brought with it its own kind of life stress. So I'd really been caught in this cycle of avoiding the things that triggered the painful feelings, leading to unsupportive behaviors that led to more life stress and really left me with a giant ball of resistance around money. And we know that when there is pain, fear, and discomfort associated with something, our internal system works hard to avoid more of it. So on the one hand, we're working really hard to try to create more money, and internally there's all this resistance going on to push it away because money doesn't feel safe. So this brings me to the first aspect of dealing with CPTSD that brings an extra layer of challenge to making more money. And this is actually a pattern that has come up very commonly in clients and others who I have spoken to. So when we've experienced some kind of childhood trauma, especially related to sexual abuse, it creates a disruption to our basic human sense of safety, survival, and security, which very commonly plays out in our ability to ask for, to receive, to keep, and organize money because of the specific emotions that play out in our relationship to money that connect us back to feeling safe or not feeling safe. And these are all root chakra related issues. So some of the challenges that come up for people experiencing CPTSD include doing the work to learn the skills and tools required to alleviate stress around money and therefore alleviating the resistance that is simultaneously causing us to avoid money, like money management, organization, asking for more, raising our prices, having healthy boundaries in life and work that allow us to thrive in our work and the way that we make income. This requires us to have to sit with and process some really sometimes intense emotions that are connected to our brain's trauma response in order to rewire our association with money and pain, and to create more of a neutral association that makes it easier to stay consistent with the behaviors that keep our shit together. Now, I think this issue is actually very common because the majority of people have a traumatic and disempowering relationship with money, mainly as a result of our inherited beliefs and cultural attitudes. But emotional responses for people with CPTSD can be very intense, and it can just be a lot to deal with. Like, it was fucking uncomfortable and challenging and difficult. And I have shed many tears and leaned on a lot of support to get to a place where I am financially organized. And I can say that it's the one place where my trauma responses have been triggered the most, because money is so deeply connected to a sense of security, because it literally provides security. Before we get back to the episode, I have something exciting to tell you about. There were a couple of key things that changed everything in my life as an entrepreneur that allowed me to bring in 6 figures while working half as many hours and having more fun than ever before in my business. It was money mindset work around how I was doing business, combined with getting good at sharing strategic sales content online. I know you know that this is your year to start hitting your 10K month income goal and living the life of creative freedom and fulfillment you have been dreaming about. You're ready to be consistently attracting total dream soulmate clients through the creative content you're sharing on social media, and you want to be reaching more people, charging higher rates, and working much less. So I'm very excited to invite you to join me in Freedom Club, my mastermind, where you'll receive tailored high-level support to master the skills that will create your dream life and 6-figure dream business starting now. With focused weekly trainings and coaching calls to find the clarity on your content that's going to make you the most money, to design a simple, fun launch strategy you'll enjoy following through on, plus daily support and feedback from me in the Voxer chat, you'll find that sweet spot in your business where you're the most confident in your work, having the most fun, and making the most money. Go to withsarahmac.com/freedom club to apply now. Now let's get back to the episode. So, on top of the extra emotional challenges of going through this common learning curve around money organization, it's already extra work to manage a health condition like CPTSD. So when you're experiencing some of the other many symptoms like chronic fatigue, depression, anxiety, physical pain, brain fog, difficulty concentrating, amongst many, many others, you really start to feel the accumulation of extra work in your efforts to maintain your life. So yes, money manifestation can and does work like magic. We do get what we focus on, and it takes a lot of fucking work. And I'm not talking about the work that you do that you get paid for. I'm talking about the emotional labor and healing work that has to be fit into your schedule around all of the other extra work and the actions that you're taking that's required to maintain your life and your business, as well as doing the work to build the new skill sets and habits that will support you to live at the next level you desire to experience in life and money. And I actually think, business is freaking easy compared to life. And emotional wellness, it takes work when you've had some of these experiences. So I just think it's really important to name that. So please remember that even when it might look like it's not working, it is. It's all accumulating. Continuing to focus on where you want to go, those shifts are happening, the triggers are happening, and sometimes it feels like shit's hitting the fan and there's just everything is falling apart and nothing's working right before actually everything was just rearranging itself. You had the breakthroughs and the insights to be able to show up and take the actions to create what it is that you desire. It's all accumulating, so keep showing up, keep going. And when somebody on the internet brags about thinking about their money goal and then manifesting a check for thousands of dollars magically showing up in their mailbox, know that yes, you can magically manifest money, and you are still going to be required to develop the financial literacy and the capability to no longer live in a pattern of money anxiety and resistance. And that is real, deep transformation that you cannot skip over. And if you're not seeing results yet, it doesn't mean that the magical money manifestation doesn't work for you. It just means that there's some more cleanup work to do. So if you are interested in this emotional cleanup process, definitely check out my Money Mindset Detox Masterclass bundle. That's available to buy on my website with sarahmac.com. And the next piece I want to talk about is energy management, which has been a huge topic for me as somebody who experienced chronic fatigue for 5 years. So the common advice for money manifestation is to feel the feelings of already having the money, right? So simple, just feel the feelings, easy, right? No, not for people with CPTSD. Now listen, I want you to be very intentional around not using this as an excuse to be in a story of why it's hard for you or impossible for you to follow conventional wisdom about this. Because even though it might be more of a process for you, the only way to fast track that process is to focus on what you want consistently and believe it's possible for you until it happens. And you will create that. You won't create that if you're in the story that this is hard for you and this is never going to happen. And it's not available to somebody like me. So it's really, really important to not ever fall into the trap of that story. And I've proven this process to myself over and over and over again, with completely recovering my health, my burnout, and the chronic fatigue, with hitting my income goals, making money, growing a 6-figure dream business that supports my health, wellness, and happiness, and just creating so many of my desires in my life. So I mainly want this conversation to bring you some peace and to allow you to feel seen and to alleviate some of the resistance that happens when these unique challenges aren't directly addressed, which can leave you asking questions like, what's wrong with me that's making this feel so hard, which is just not a supportive line of questioning. But it is a part of your experience that we get to address and care for so that you can move through it onto creating what you want. So, and I'll speak from my own experience here. What happened for me is that some intense shit happened to me when I was a child, and not having the tools or support to deal with it at the time, my system suppressed it all. So I lived my life detached from my feelings and engaging in numbing and escapist behaviors like drinking, taking drugs, losing myself on the dance floor in music, partying, clubs, raves for the majority of my teens and adult life, until I had an emotional health crisis and a physical health crisis. And I had also created an environment where I finally felt safe and held in my romantic relationship to finally process all of that shit that had gone down in my childhood. And my body was like, now it's time to process and feel these feelings. And it was rough. I experienced severe depression, chronic fatigue, heightened symptoms of ADHD, until I got the support and the tools to process the feelings of anger, grief, sadness, and betrayal. Now I had the capacity to understand them. And then finally, the memories of sexual abuse resurfaced. And digestive issues, that was also a big part of my experience. So my body, in order to survive as a human, had developed the coping strategy of not feeling my feelings and numbing out from feeling my feelings, but they were all still there. So in any embodiment or manifestation practice that required me to get into my body and feel, a lot of the time it did not feel good, and for a very good reason, obviously. And though, yes, it is possible to create sensations in our body based on what we focus on, it's also a necessary part of our trauma healing process to actually feel and process the feelings that are showing up in parts of our internal experience. So to suggest that we have to walk around feeling like a millionaire when we want to receive money, this can be a very complicated ask for somebody healing from trauma, because there are so many intense feelings going on. And I've really struggled with a lot of the embodiment and energy management advice out there, because actually it has been really important for me to work with trauma-trained therapists to feel and process the emotional intensity connected to the trauma and to learn from these emotions and start to take different action based on the information that these emotions were bringing me. And here's the cool thing about my story, is that I have had some of the highest income months during some of my deepest, darkest, most painful moments in my healing process. So please let me be living proof for you that you do not have to be 100% high vibe and happy to receive shitloads of cash. And I'm talking 5-figure months. So here's the very important distinction that I want to make in this conversation. To manifest the money that you desire, feel the feelings of already having it. Yes, feel those feelings connected to money and your ideal money story. So imagine making money was easy for you. Imagine you have already hit your income goal. Imagine feeling safe and grounded right now in this moment. Imagine feeling calm and stable and secure. Imagine you are a rock on the beach with all of its needs met right there in that moment. And practice not giving in to cycles of anxiety, panic, or avoidance, and behave as if money was a constant flow of abundance in your life, and start to take action like that person in your relationship with money. And you still get to feel and process all of your other feelings. You get to stop and listen and feel and be confused about what you're feeling and feel all of the pain of being alive. And it does not mean you cannot receive your desired income. I built my business in the depths of 5 years of chronic fatigue and severe depression And it just meant that I had to be really freaking strategic and only do the work that would get me paid in the ways that honored my energy, because I had so little bandwidth and I was doing so much freaking extra work to restore my health. And in the times where I have experienced periods of emotional instability, I actually have lent more on strategy to create a sense of stability when energy management has been a very real challenge for me. So if you hear somebody preaching away that works, that just doesn't resonate with you right now or feels really hard or unreachable, leave it and figure out the way that works for you in that moment. And it's so important to remember, we are all so different. Our lived experiences are different, even though we have many commonalities. Where we are in our life is so different from one another. Our experiences of our bodies and our emotions are so different. Our support systems and communities are so different. So different things are going to work for different people at different times of life. So if something doesn't work for you, it is not because there is something wrong with you. Because the truth is, you are your guru. Your intuition knows exactly what's best for you in every moment, and your path just is different from everybody else's. So learn to deeply trust yourself and your process and know that everything that's meant for you will come to you in the right time. So just keep going. I could really talk about this for hours, and I'm literally writing a book about my transformational journey with money mindset work that really allowed me to double my income 3 years in a row and hit 6 figures in my dream coaching business in spite of and as a result of all of the deep healing and trauma recovery work that came up for me in that process. So definitely stay tuned for that. I've almost finished writing, and if you haven't already, make sure to download my free creative money meditation. You can listen to daily to reprogram your thinking to believe that the money you desire is possible for you now. So go to withsarahmac.com and you can grab it along with any of my other free resources around money that you'd like to dive into. You can find them all under the freebie section of the menu of my site. So thank you so much for listening and for watching and for being a part of this conversation. Please share this episode with anyone you know could benefit. And please support the show by leaving a 5-star review on iTunes to help this content to reach more people. And I think this is such an important conversation. I would love to continue this with you. So please feel free to reach out to me, share your experience, share your insights, or things that have come up for you from listening to this episode today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sending you so much love. Bye. For more inspirational content, head over to my website withsarahmac.com and please support the show by liking, commenting, and subscribing.